8 March 2017, after the Philippines ratify and deposit the instrument of ratification to the ASEAN Secretariat. So the last country to ratify the ASEAN Convention is Indonesia, and the remaining country is Brunei Darussalam. And having this convention, even if the convention actually is also legally binding, that all ASEAN member states are obliged to implement effectively. And the reason why we have such a very important instrument, if we look at the figure and statistics as the mentioned by the gap of honor or the convention, currently across the world we have slightly more than 40 million people in slavery. With the number, we have 152 million children in child labor around the world. So that's why we are gathering here today to tackle such a very important problem and the growing situation of a trafficking person and migration with risky situation. And with regard to the ASEAN Convention against trafficking persons, that after the ratification, all the AMS must take measures to implement, especially at the first crucial stage. They have to raise the awareness of the active in their respective country. And along with that, we also have the ASEAN Plan of Action, in abbreviation APA, ASEAN Plan of Action, and then followed by the another very important work plan we call Bohol TRP Work Plan 2017 and 2020. This is also the very important important instrument developed by the AMS. And with regard to the TCM, I would like to also to attract the meeting participant attention to the fact and figure on the urban migration, the number of people migrating around the world. Totally we have the overall number of the international migrants has increased in the few years from the estimated 150 million in 1990 to 173 million in 2000 and to 258 million in the present, according to the figure published by the IOM. Sorry, I have only 2 minutes left. Actually, I am not going into the main point yet, but anyway, I will try to finish given time. And with regard to the TCM, I think it's a very important improvement, but all the countries which are the UN members also play a very crucial role in the drafting process from the zero draft to the first draft and the final, which is finalized in July 2018, and hopefully it will be formally adopted in on 10/11/2018 in Morocco this year. And I think also very important instrument, international instrument, when adopted, I think even if it's not legally binding, but all the country have to, based on all these instruments, all the compared to adopt, to formulate, to develop their own national instrument or policy, which is in agreeing in accordance with all the instruments. I think that's all my discussion, and I would like to conclude here. Thank you so much.
Okonchanan, Police Major General Sok. Thank you for also providing your perspectives on the active, and that it is an important instrument that will also then make the onus on all the ASEAN member states in taking measures to implement the active, and that we need to raise awareness in each country. Also, that in the ASEAN region, a lot of the migration flows are largely irregular, and therefore being an irregular process, it allows for more, maybe allow for more labor exploitation, but also modern slavery opportunities. So what we would like to really emphasize with this group is that we should be all, again, collectively working together to ensure that the active is actually implemented and raise awareness in each country, so that we could then prevent, if not mitigate, trafficking in persons, particularly women and children. A round of applause for the SOMTC presentation. Our next presentation is from ICHAR, Mr. Leo Herrera Lim, who represents the Philippines to the ICHAR. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Nana. You have the right to stop me at any time. Exercise your right to moderation and emphasize the SDG to end the hunger of the participants before 12. Anyway, my first question, probably for the audience, would be, who has heard of ICHAR? Raise your hand if you're not yet hungry. Okay. So, you've heard of ICHAR, you've heard of the fantastic work done by the 10 individuals who represent the 10 countries in ICHAR. Who has heard of ICHAR as 30 CSO with consultative status? Okay, very good. Who has heard of the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration? Okay, and you know that ICHAR helped draft that human rights declaration. So I could end with that, and we go on to the next speaker. Anyway, my task is made easier because in some of the audiences that I've spoken before, they've not heard of ICHAR. They think that either we're a boy band or one of the new companies in ASEAN. So ICHAR is basically the Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights. Emphasis on two words, intergovernmental and human rights. Intergovernmental meaning each representative represents the country. So our position is country-based. And number two, human rights. It's both a value that is common among all the 10 member countries. And one of the many achievements of ICHAR is the drafting and the preparation of the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration about 3 years after its existence. The ASEAN Human Rights Declaration, or HRD, is a landmark ASEAN document which sets forth both the promotion and protection of human rights in the region. But if you ask many of our CSO friends, they would tell us that ICHAR has focused more on the promotion, less on the protection mandate. Of course, we disagree, but that's the way we're set up, an intergovernmental organization. We still don't have the mechanism to have either monitoring or enforcement of human rights principles within the region. Yet, the AHRD also reflects ASEAN's undiminished commitments to the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. You've heard of the United Nations, I think no one disagrees. All of us here earlier, and we had a representative also from UN telling us about the SDG. So all of ASEAN has accepted the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. So the AHRD does not derogate on that one, does not diminish the commitment on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In terms of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, the HRRD has a unique section on the right to development, with 3 paragraphs highlighting the right to development as an inalienable human right. If you want to, earlier you were given, I think, these mini books within your toolkit. ICHR forgot to include its best-selling mini book. It contains our compilation, but give me your name and let's make sure that the ASEAN Secretariat gives you a copy of this bestseller book. It has the AHRD and also the terms of reference of ICHR. The right to development section in the AHRD also sets the obligation for ASEAN member states to adopt meaningful, people-oriented, and gender-responsive development programs aimed at poverty alleviation, the creation of conditions, including the protection and sustainability of the environment for the people of ASEAN to enjoy all human rights recognized in this declaration on an equitable basis and progressive narrowing of the development gap within ASEAN. This is also the same direction that the UN SDG are moving towards too. The HRLD also has a unique paragraph on the right to peace, entitling each person to the right to enjoy peace within ASEAN framework of security and stability, neutrality, and freedoms, such as the rights set forth in the declaration that can be fully realized. To this end, ASEAN member states should continue to enhance friendship and cooperation in the furtherance of peace, harmony, and stability in the region. On migration, specific paragraphs in the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration hold relevance to the subject of our forum today. Paragraph 4 cites the rights of migrants. Paragraph 13 in civil political rights mentions that no person shall be held in servitude or slavery in any of its forms or be subject in human smuggling or trafficking in person. Paragraph 15 states that every person has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. The right to live. Every person within ASEAN has the right to leave any country, including his or her own, and to return to his or her country. Another paragraph that is also relevant to our discussion is paragraph 19, which affirms the importance of the family as a natural and fundamental unit of society entitled to protection by society and each AMS. Under AHRD section on economic, social, and cultural rights, paragraph 27 mentions every person's right to work, freedom of choice of employment, to enjoy just, decent, and favorable conditions of work, and to have access to assistance schemes for the unemployed. Subparagraph 27.3 also states that no child or any young person shall be subjected to economic and social exploitation. So I don't want to bore you with all the provisions of AHRD. There's enough provisions. And if, is there any person in the room first time in the Philippines? No one. If you've been to the Philippines before, you know that we're a country that loves the issue of migration. It's part of our heart, it's part of our DNA. So for us, rights of migrants is always actively promoted, actively protected. And under the AHRD, this right, or the AMS is a duty bearer of this right. I think the previous speakers also emphasized that we have, this is the menu for lunchtime, that's why I'm being reminded that lunch is closed. Each AMS should see to it that the right of migration would be not only within its border, but also across the region. We also have several projects in ICHR. Just go to, as part of our shameless plug for ICHR, just go to our website. It's all listed there. Our annual report is also in the ichar.org website. And I think if we can leave you with the thought that ICHR as an institution, as a body within ASEAN, wants to do two things primarily: to embed a rights-based perspective within all the regional lands of ASEAN, across pillar and across sectors, as our other speakers have already mentioned. So for us, we want the rights of migrant labor to be fully protected within the region and within each AMS. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was